wicka, wicka. Welcome back to the talk of the town. Talker.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome
Hi,
back.
guys. Welcome back to the Talk of the Town podcast.
Today we had on Jen, who is a UGC creator and the owner of the Jersey Girl Travels account on Instagram.
Jen talks about her start on Instagram and how she's grown her page to what it is today. She is definitely a Jersey girl through and through, and we are so excited for you guys to hear this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And leave us a 5-star review on Spotify.
Hope you guys enjoy the episode. See you next week. Cursing is allowed.
Okay, it'll slip out. I always try for not to, but every podcast I've done at some point, it slips out.
It must be the Jersey in you.
It is. It just happens. I can't help it. It's part of the vernacular.
Yeah. So tell us a little about yourself, like introduce yourself. Where are you from? How'd you like kind of get your start?
Hi, I'm Jen from Jersey Girl Travels. I have had my page since 2017. And I started it just because I love travel and wanted to share my love of that first and foremost. And it grew into something I never thought it would become. The way it's kind of evolved and changed over the years, I feel like it's had so many lives already. And I don't know, it's really an amazing thing. I never thought that I would be doing podcasts, that's for sure. I never thought people would want to interview me about my page.
Yeah, you have a really cool page. I forget when we started following you. I feel like we must have seen like one of your videos and then started following. But you really go all over. You hold true to your name.
Thank you. I try. I do try to get to all of the state as much as I can.
Yeah.
I think that there were a lot of times where I've seen comments on posts where it's like, oh, you only talk about North Jersey, you only talk about this, like for me and for other creators.
Yeah.
And I never want to do that. I want to make sure that I'm highlighting as much of the state as I can because there is so much to do across the whole state.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like every like little corner of the state has like its own personality and cool places. And I feel like you could literally be like going and reviewing places and experiencing things in New Jersey and like never run out of things to, experience.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. And you're right about the personality, just like being, I was just recently down by Cape May. I went down to, I can't even remember the name of the place. This is so bad, but I went down and I had some brunch and just the vibe is so different. It's a little bit slower, a little bit more laid back. And, I'm in North Jersey, so there's such a hustle culture and so hectic and busy and the traffic and the condos everywhere. And to be down there and it's just this like quiet little diner on a quiet little street. And I was like, I can't believe this is still New Jersey. Sometimes those moments just hit you.
It's crazy. It's such a small little state, but it's got like the North Jersey where it's really New York City influence. And then a lot of like South Jersey is like Philly influence. And then there's the beaches and then there's West Jersey. And it's like, it feels like you're in like 5 different states, but it's such a small state and it's got like a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I think that's the best part about it, honestly, is that we truly have everything. And I can't think of another state. I mean, I guess you could argue maybe California also has that similar experience, but it's way bigger. So it should have a little bit more. For how small New Jersey is, we really bring it in terms of things to do and just all of the different cultures that we have. We have people from everywhere. So you can get any type of cuisine that you want pretty much at any time that you want it. And, I always say like you can go for a hike and go down the shore in the same day and still have time for like a really fancy dinner somewhere. You can really pack it all in if you try your hardest and get up super early.
That's true.
Yeah. So where did you grow up? Did you go to college? Like what was kind of your journey to where you are now?
So I grew up in Roselle, which is in Union County, my whole life. And I always like to say that I'm born, raised, educated, and still live in New Jersey. So I had this like passion for psychology. I always knew that I wanted to go into psychology. So I went to Montclair State for my undergrad and I did psych and pre-law.
Nice.
And after that, I was like, well, crap, what do I do now? Because part of me wanted to become a therapist, but I knew how much more schooling and my law advisor was really pushing for me to do my PsyD JD combined degree. And I was like, I don't want to do forensic psych. I feel like after a couple of years, I'll just be so depressed. And so, I don't know, just really worn out from it. So I went into school psychology and I got my master's degree at Fairleigh Dickinson in Teaneck. And I loved school psychology for a long time. Loved working with the kids, helping the families, and really having a part of being part of their journey. But it just got to a point where there was so much red tape to helping. And I had worked in a few districts and knew, sadly, that that was the case. And I give so many kudos to everyone who has stayed with it, because for me, I just started to feel kind of sad and kind of tired of working so hard and not really getting what I was hoping to get out of it. So I really think that COVID got me to be a little bit brave, and I started applying to other jobs. And I got hired as a meeting and event planner. So now I do meeting and event planning for pharmaceutical companies.
Whoa.
Yeah, just totally different track now. But yeah, I get to travel and enjoy this life a little bit differently now. And the page just kind of came from my love for travel, first and foremost. So it was originally actually called Travels of Wanderlust because Jersey Girl Travels was not available. And I tried so hard to get it. And then when I finally got it, it was great. But for, I would say, like a good 2 years, that's not what it was called. And then COVID happened. And it kind of really happened organically, the change from just travel pictures to wanting to support small businesses, especially during the pandemic. So many were struggling, and I saw that happening. So I remember posting about like Track 5 Coffee in Cranford, which is a place that I went to a lot, or like local bakeries, because everything kind of became a microcosm during the pandemic. Everybody was going to their local spots. Yeah. You know, people couldn't get bread at the stores. They were going to their local bakeries, and it was a beautiful thing to see. So then it started to transition a little bit more into that. And I feel like everything that's happened with my page happened without me really having the reins on it. I feel like it's just kind of, as it's changed and grown, it's taken on this life of its own. And so I started to realize, okay, people actually want to hear about places to eat and things to do, and especially day trips. Like the day trip posts seem to really do well, because I think sometimes people have a random Saturday with nothing to do, and they end up sitting around like, well, what are we going to do? We don't know what we're going to do. And there's so many things like within an hour or two from here that you can enjoy doing.
Yeah. So I feel like social media is so powerful in that way that like there's some businesses that like without people like you like going and giving them that exposure, like they might have never really had like a chance to like show the world or like show New Jersey like what they have to offer. So it's so cool that like you kind of bring that to light. And then even us, like we'll go to pages like yours, be like, what, like where should we go out to dinner? Like where should we go try a new coffee place? And it's like so nice to see, because it's not just like a review on Yelp or Google. It's like an actual person like enjoying the experience, and it makes it like that much more authentic.
See, that's why I do what I do. It makes me feel good to know that. Honestly, anytime someone says, oh, I saw your, post, and so I went there and I had such a great time, that's why I do it, because I want to see that people are actually taking what I post and putting it into their lives and actually enjoying like a coffee shop or a romantic dinner out or a day trip and getting to experience those things and love them the same way that I love them.
Yeah. How do you like go about finding places, and like how do you reach out to them? Do they reach out to you? Is it kind of like a little mix of both?
It is a mix.
Okay.
There are some places that will reach out and invite me in and want me to like come and check out their place, whether it's new or they're just trying to, get their name out there again. And then sometimes it really is just that I go somewhere and I like it and I want to post about it. Yeah. And that actually does happen more often than not.
Yeah.
I'll see like a new restaurant and I want to check it out, or I go to a new coffee shop and it was amazing.
Yeah.
So a lot of it really, it's all authentic 100%, because I would never post a place that I didn't love.
Yeah.
So even if I got invited somewhere, if I ate the food and I was like, this is not a good experience, I would never post about it. I would definitely just very politely say that like I'm not going to share that experience.
Yeah.
Because I never want to be inauthentic. Integrity is so important to me.
Yeah.
Going back to why I left education, my integrity wouldn't let me tell parents, hey, this program is great for your kid, when I knew that it wasn't. So that's a big part of who I am. And I can never see myself posting or sharing something that I didn't feel was really great.
Yeah.
My friends told me recently that they've loved every recommendation. They had like one coffee shop they went to that just like they didn't love, but everything else they've gone to and they've loved. And I was like, okay, like one out of a bunch isn't so bad, right? Occasionally you're going to have a miss.
And especially with social media being so influential and people promoting things and getting paid to promote things, and then you don't really actually know, like, are they saying they like it because they're getting paid to? But more specifically with like product-based, you know, businesses where they send stuff to influencers and then they're just sharing it, and it really like is dangerous because you're promoting something that maybe necessarily like isn't good, and then you're influencing like a large community. So it's really like nice that you kind of like take that so seriously.
Yeah, thank you. And I do. Someone actually recently sent me a drink to try, and I haven't posted about it yet just because it feels like more of a spring summertime vibe. And I told them that I'm like, I swear I'm going to make like a real post, but it's just the type of drink it is. And I was actually shocked that I liked it, I'll be honest. So whenever I do post that, I really thought I was going to be like, this is not going to be good. Like in my head, I just did not think so. Yeah. And I drank it and I was like, wait, this is really good. I can't believe that I just had it in my head. It was going to be too sweet, or it was going to be like not my, because I don't really do sweet drinks a lot. And I loved it. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to be buying these for like poolside hangouts this summer.
Nice.
So cool. Yeah, it's cool that like your page ends up being like a curation of all the things you like. And it's cool that it could be like a resource. People could just go to your page and see like if they like something that you posted or a place that you recommended and they went to, like they might look at your page and see like what else is she recommending. Yeah, I think that's really cool.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about like what it's like being a UGC creator and how it's different than maybe like the average person would expect, or maybe even different from like what you expected before you got started?
So I actually had this conversation recently with my friend, and I was like, I forget that this isn't a normal life. Like, I think I've just been doing it for so long now that I forget that, you know, going out to eat with like the big light and getting content and like getting invited to places like not a normal thing, because it's become such a part of my life that I'll just sit there sometimes and I'm like, oh yeah, this is not just a daily thing for most people. I definitely, like I said, did not set out thinking I was going to be this creator. I wanted to share things and hoped that people would respond to it, and it took on a life of its own. It's definitely, I think one of the biggest things that you have to get over when you're doing this is like that cringe factor of I'm going out to this restaurant and I have my light and my camera and I'm taking a million shots and my friends have to wait for me to like finish. So, you know, always go out with people that are going to be really understanding about what you're doing. Most of my friends now are like, I know I can't touch anything yet. I know you have to get your footage, but they're great about it. I think that people would probably be really surprised at how long it takes to go from going to a restaurant or going to, you know, any place to the post itself. Because you're taking so much content because you don't want to miss anything. And you never know, like a video you took might have been like blurry, or you might have cut it off too soon. So you're taking a whole bunch and then you're, you know, curating all of this and editing it down and figuring out what song, and do you need like a fun transition, and like what order are things going to go in. And maybe that isn't the experience for everyone, but I feel like I'm such a perfectionist that I will scrutinize my own work so long before I'm like, okay, this is definitely ready to be posted, because I don't want to put something out there that isn't my best work. Right. So, you know, even if it's a short clip or a longer one, or I always want to make sure that that first clip has to be like eye-catching. You know, that's one of the hardest things, is picking which one is going to be the one that really draws people in to be like, wait, I want to watch the rest of this. Yeah. Because we all know, like when you're scrolling, if within like the first half a second, you're like, no. Yeah. And so you have to really figure out what you're doing. And it's sometimes a little bit stressful because, again, maybe it's just me, maybe because I'm such a perfectionist, but it's still a fun experience to create something. And I use it as my creative outlet for sure. I am terrible at art. Do not ask me to draw anything. Like, it's a miracle if I can make a cute stick figure for you. Trust me. So this for me is where I'm creative.
Nice. You still get like the uncomfortable feeling when you film in public, or did you kind of get over that at some point?
I feel like I've really gotten over that. Okay. The only time I will say, so I think that you have to be able to be in a space and recognize whether, if you take out that light, if it's going to completely ruin the experience for a lot of people around you. So I remember I was in New Orleans and I went to a restaurant and I was like, I can't take my light out here. This is like a very old school, very like upscale type of place. And like we ended up having conversation with the people next to us, and they were like from old money. Like it was very, I was like, wow, you don't get this back home, really. I was like, I can't bust out my light here. These people are going to be so aggravated. It's just not that place. So a lot of places you can, but some places you can't. And I think it's being able to differentiate occasionally that you just can't at some places. But yeah, like getting over that cringe factor took a while. But now I'm just like, if people... Look, I will always try to be as quick as possible because I don't want to disturb other diners. But if, you know, people see me like filming me walking into a place or whatever, I'm just like, it's fine. I'm probably never going to see that person again. And maybe they'll see my content down the line and be like, oh, hey, I saw her doing that.
How do you find balance? Like, I'm sure you go out to eat a lot that you're not filming all the time. Like, how do you kind of find balance where you're like, okay, like maybe it's time to like separate, you know, phone time from like your real life? Because I'm sure you do a lot of things outside of like making content. Like, do you find it hard? Because I know like we've experienced that before with making content. Like sometimes it's like, okay, where's the line?
Are we on a date? Are we making a video?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like both. Or
It's hard. I will say it's definitely hard and something I'm still figuring out and working on. My husband and I do try to have like specific phone-free nights out. So especially if we're going somewhere where we've been a million times, there's no need.
Yeah.
Or if we're going somewhere new, we'll kind of have a conversation beforehand, like, hey, is it okay if I like get some footage and then like put the phone away? Because he understands that I am trying to, you know, create things, but also you have to find that balance.
Yeah.
So, you know, if it's a place I've been to a bunch or a place I've at least been to before, I really try to reel it in. Because like you were saying, those date nights are so important. You don't want to have that impacting things. And, you know, there are plenty of times where I am so in the moment that I actually forget to get content. So I just recently did like this Mott's Madness thing where we tasted a bunch of fresh mutts from around the state. I'm posting that today. And I remember at the end of the night, I was like, oh my God, I feel like I did not get enough footage for this because I was having so much fun being with everyone. And like the whole point of that was to film it and like make it a post. But we were all just having so much fun and laughing so much and just enjoying the night that I kind of forgot, which was actually a nice departure from the norm. Normally that like obsessive, I have to get this. So at the end, I mean, the video came out great in the end, but I remember that night I was so upset. And my friend was like, look, you were in the moment and you were having fun, and that's more important than anything. And she was right. And it's easy to forget that when you are a creator, that sometimes just being in the moment and forgetting to get the content is actually a really nice thing too.
Yeah.
yeah, we've definitely had some times where we were on our way to a date and one of us had said, oh, we should get content while we're there. And then on the car ride home, we'd be like, oh, we forgot to get content because we just were having a good time. And yeah, so I can definitely relate to that.
That's the best though, because if you're having a good time, you know,
Yeah.
that's what's more important. And, you know, you can always get content another time.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you get your creative inspiration from? Do you get it from like other creators or kind of other business pages, like, or maybe even something off of social media? Like, where do you draw that inspiration from?
I don't really know. I mean, I think I just try to like do my thing and hope that people respond to it. I have a lot of creative people in my life. So my best friend Kristen is a photographer, and she's always said to me how I have such a good eye. And so I think I really draw some inspiration from her just because I see how passionate she is about her work and the care she takes and the way she like finds the right angle and really just the way her brain works. And I think I've taken a lot of inspiration from her. I grew up watching like Food Network and I grew up watching travel shows. So I think somewhere it's just in my brain that I've seen the way that I like seeing things filmed. And at the end of the day, really what you should put out is something that you would want to watch yourself, and not necessarily saying, oh, I think like X, Y, and Z people would like this, because it should stem from what you think would be enjoyable for you, because you're finding your voice and you're finding like what inspires you and hoping that it inspires other people. So I think it's a little bit less conscious most of the time, and a little bit more just trying to make it as creative and as fun as possible.
That's really cool. Are there any like communities for UGC creators? Because I know like I do bookkeeping and I'm in like some online communities for that, and she does permanent jewelry, and she has like an online community there where they kind of like ask each other questions and like bounce things off each other. Is there anything like that for UGC?
So there might be. I am not in any of those. I mean, I've definitely reached out to creators and we've had conversations like, hey, how do you get into this? Or, maybe like what light have you been using? Things like that. It's more of like a one-on-one thing. There may be communities. I definitely don't know of any of them right now. But for me, I've met some in person. I've been lucky enough to become friends with some. So it's been nice. Like I remember one night out, one of them was like, oh, I didn't bring my light. And I was like, just use mine and like get your footage. So it is like a very friendly, supportive community, I feel, for the most part, because we're all just trying to focus on like our love of food and New Jersey and travel, and there's space for everyone. There is so much internet and so much social media that there's a place for everyone. Yeah. So I think that it's been a really supportive, nice experience so far, meeting people and kind of getting some insight from them or asking questions about things.
Yeah. And I just had a question and it just lost me.
It'll come back.
Yeah, that's really cool though, because it's important like when you're doing something unique like you're doing, if you're all on your own and you don't like have any connections or doing the same things, like it can be really hard to navigate. So like having that support, being able to like reach out to people, I think that's really cool. I mean, I know like for my own business, like I actually have this friend Perry. We usually talk like on Wednesdays, and we met in a Facebook group, and he also does bookkeeping. We started around the same time, so we're like growing at like a somewhat similar pace. And it's just been like really important for us to like talk through things, and we'll text each other questions and stuff. So I'm definitely like a big proponent of that, especially like when you're at work, you have like a team and you have a boss and you can bounce things off people. But when you're an entrepreneur, you're really on your own, and your success and your failures is all your own, bearing. So yeah, that's really cool that you're able to get some connections and talk to people like that.
Yeah, it's been really nice, honestly.
Yeah. I remember what I was going to ask. We saw on your website that you offer like travel planning. Is that something that you still do? And like, how did you kind of get into that?
So I think for me, I've always loved planning the trip. I've always been like big with itineraries and not necessarily sticking to them, but at the very least being like, okay, well, we want to go to these places. They're in a similar area. And then like, if we want, here are some other things we can do type of itinerary. I'm not super strict when it comes to an itinerary on a trip. I'm more like, if we want to do these things, this is the same day we can do them. And like, maybe we see these things along the way. A lot of people would reach out to me seeing that I had been to like Nashville or Paris or something like that and said like, hey, I'm going to, like, what would you recommend? What's a good place, to go out for a girls' dinner? What's a good place for a date night? Things like that. And I would just try to have some insight for them. And I was like, you know what? I should maybe do this for people. Yeah. So I don't do it as much now. I think just because I've put so much time and energy into the page as it is. But if people reach out to me for some ideas and some things to do, I definitely will break it down a little bit for them and give them some tips on where to go and what to do. Nice. I have always been a big traveler. It's been like a part of who I am for pretty much my whole life. I remember like looking at my travel atlas as a kid, and like I was one of those kids that would like spin the globe, and wherever my finger lands, that's where I'm going. I was like that kid. My grandmother, who was like a huge influence in my life, she would always encourage me to go travel. She was very big on like, see the world, make sure you see the world. It's so important. And I think I really just kept that with me my whole life, right in my heart. So all of those things I think have like developed me into this person that I am now. And being able to help people see the world in any way, even if it's just like, here's a day trip plan for you. Like I posted something recently on my story about going to the Guinness Brewery in Baltimore, because a lot of people don't know that that's there. And I put like a little day trip idea for them. Like it's a couple, like what, 2.5, 3 hours from here. Why not? So I'm like, you can go there, get brunch, check out Baltimore, like do this and then drive home and be home in the same day. Like, why not? Yeah. So I try to share stuff like that a lot because, again, people having the opportunity to experience everything that travel has to offer and everything that all the food that you can experience in different cities and how much you can do that's so close to home. You know, it doesn't have to be booking a flight to Europe. It can be as small as taking an hour drive into, you know, into New York State.
Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome. And you talked about how much your page has kind of evolved over time. Where do you see your page kind of going towards like this year? Like what is something that you kind of want to start getting into, or just hoping that like your page like kind of moves towards?
So it's a question that I don't even know if I can answer, because I feel like every concept and idea I've thought I had for this page, it's just like taken legs and run off on its own. I definitely want to continue doing this. I have, you know, some ideas. I definitely want to finally get to the merch this year. So I have some merch ideas that are, I'm excited for it. I have been talking to a designer about some things. So I have some ideas, and hopefully people like my ideas and want them. Yeah. And I think just continuing what I'm doing, really the small businesses and sharing travel. Like I said, I travel a lot for work. So one series that I've been trying to start is like a Jersey Girl Travels To. And then it's all about the place where I went, just like little snippets of the food and the experience and the culture there. And just supporting small businesses both in Jersey and beyond, because they're the heart of every community. I have for the last 3 years done, during the holiday season, 12 days of holiday giveaways, where I partner with local businesses and we do giveaways, and donations go to Community Food Bank of New Jersey.
Nice.
So I've done that. So we've raised like thousands of dollars for them over the years, which is so huge. Again, giving back to the community, and anyway, being part of the community is so important. So I would like to see that maybe grow a little bit differently this year. I was toying around with the idea of an in-person event, maybe with like raffles and things where we can donate a little bit more money than we usually do, just to help out as much as possible. I feel like I get so much from going out to eat and enjoying these meals, and I know there are so many people that don't get to experience that. So hoping to give back a little bit more this year too.
That's great. So we have like a few rapid fire questions we want to ask you. We did not send them to you.
Oh God, this is not going to go well.
They are
my anxiety is here.
And you can just answer as whatever comes to mind, and
You guys are going to see me pass out in a second. Just get ready for it. The fainting, I'm going to fall right off the chair.
What's your favorite beach to go to?
Ooh, I go to Asbury. Asbury Park is my go-to.
Nice. I love Asbury.
Yeah, it's the best.
What's the most underrated town in New Jersey?
Ooh, most underrated town. That is a really good question. I feel like a lot of the hidden gems have been found. I think that even though it's been on a lot of lists, a lot of people don't necessarily get out to Frenchtown a lot, and it's very small, and it's just so quaint and so nice. And I think that it's even developed a little bit more now than it even used to be. So I think that that's one that a lot of people don't think of right away, because it is a little bit farther from a lot of the other towns. So I'm going to say Frenchtown.
Okay.
That's such a good answer.
Pork roll or Taylor ham?
Taylor ham. It's Taylor ham.
What's a hobby that you would pick up if you had an extra 2 hours per day?
Ooh. God, there have been so many hobbies over the years that I have not kept up with. I used to be a yoga teacher, and I think I would really delve back into that a little bit if I had an extra 2 hours a day. I think I would go back to that, or I would really love to, and this is like a crazy out of the blue. I would like to do maybe like a sommelier training. I would love to learn a little bit more about like wine and the qualities of it, and expand my palate there. I feel like I could be good at that if I had the time to dedicate to it.
That's cool.
What is a business that you're dying to collaborate with?
There's so many great ones. I was gonna say Wawa, but I kind of already did that. That was like
that one this morning.
Great. That one was like so random and out of the blue. And then they sent me some swag too, so I have to make a video about that.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, that was actually really funny. I feel like the list is just so long, honestly. I can't really think of one business. I think, you know what? Just like Jersey vibes, I think I would love to do a video with the Team Taylor page, because I'm a Taylor ham girl, and I think he and I should get together and do a little video. So we'll keep it like super local. I think that he and I should do a video together.
Very nice.
I love that.
Best girls' night restaurant in New Jersey?
So I actually just went to a new one, Bernadette and Scotch Plains. Okay. And it's just like tapas style, but it's kind of like French and Spanish inspired food. And it's very pretty, very like elegant, but also somehow still very cozy. And I think that is a really great new spot because you can share a bunch of food, have some great wine. The vibes are just like very pretty. And I think it's a really good new spot for a girls' night out.
Really cool. To keep that in mind.
What's something you can't leave the house without?
My phone. I'm definitely too addicted to it.
If someone gave you $10,000 tomorrow, what would you do with it?
Oh man, I would travel. I would be out the door so quickly. I would probably do something like move to Europe for a couple months and just like travel around Europe because it's so easy to get around there. So I'd probably like, I don't know, move to Paris or something and just take trains to all of these different places and try to see as much of Europe as I could before that 10,000 ran out.
Who is one person that inspires you the most?
So I really will still say my grandmother, my Mina. She, isn't with us anymore, but like she really lives in my heart. She is why I love food so much. So many memories as a kid. Like she had her little like rocking chair recliner and I would be like on the little bed she had in her room and we'd just like watch Food Network for hours and we'd cook together and bake together. And I still make her Christmas cookies every year. And I think like she really is responsible for why I feel such a connection to food and to travel. And I don't think I would have had the audacity to do something like this if I didn't have her kind of with me at all times.
Oh, that's nice.
What's your favorite place you've traveled outside of New Jersey?
So, gosh, that's a really hard question because I love everywhere so much. I would say in the United States, I love like the coast of California. So like San Diego and Huntington Beach and all of those places. I love it there. It's just so laid back, great food scene. The people are really wonderful. Just like sunset drum circles. It's just such a different vibe from here. And then overseas, I would probably say when I went to Europe in Belgium, there's this little town called Ghent. And it's like on the water. It's like almost Amsterdam-y in that sense, but great beer, great food, great mussels. And it was just so laid back. And we went there kind of accidentally. We actually were supposed to be in Brussels, but we went to Brussels and we didn't like it. We were like, this just does not feel like what I want to do on my vacation. So instead we left our bags at the train station, hopped a train, went to Ghent just on a whim and loved it. It was such a beautiful city with such just beautiful escapes. And Bruges and Ghent in Belgium were stunning. I think those are two places a lot of people don't think to go necessarily right off the bat. And I can't recommend them enough.
Very cool.
Wow. Where else in Europe have you been?
Just London, Paris, Bruges, and Ghent. And I'm going to Ireland in a few weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Just for a vacation?
Yeah,
or?
that one's vacation.
Cool.
So
Very
excited.
cool.
I've wanted to do Ireland for a while. So we're, I think, landing in Dublin and then taking a road trip around the country and seeing as much as we can see.
That is so cool.
Only 5 days. So it's going to be a lot to pack in. Yeah, I'll probably need to sleep for 24 hours after, but it'll still be worth it, to see all of that.
That's so fun.
Are you going to check out like the Jameson and the Guinness factories?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We're going to the original Jameson one in Middleton. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but that's the Jameson we're going to. And then, of course, Guinness. Have to go. We're doing Galway, Cork, Cobh, like a day, I think, like a day and a half in Dublin before we go home. Because everyone says you don't need a ton of time in Dublin, so we'll see. Nice. I imagine I'll need a new stomach and a new liver by the time I get home, but it'll be worth it.
That's so cool. We've been talking about like Switzerland.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
That's like on our bucket list.
That's on my bucket list.
Heard,
do
like,
it.
Such good things.
Do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
We did our first trip abroad last year together. We went to Portugal.
Ooh, that's nice. Where did you go in Portugal?
We did a bunch of places. We did Lagos,
Lisbon,
Porto, and then we went over to
Madrid for the last 3 days.
That's amazing. Did you love it?
Yeah, it was so
it was
nice.
awesome.
Yeah. Each like place was so completely different, like beach vibes, city vibes. Madrid was like super different, so it was like so cool to like get like each taste of like each city. We kind of like popped around, so it was nice.
What was the best thing you ate in Portugal? I'm the interviewer now. I've taken over.
Oh shoot, we weren't prepared for this. I don't remember.
gosh.
They had this one food that like was a specialty there. It was like
Yeah, we tried to like make sure we tried all of like the like
You know what it actually
the
was?
cuisines or like the different dishes there that like everyone recommended.
It was that pizza place. It was that pizza
Yeah,
place.
yeah, it was like an Italian pizza
that was-
place. Yeah, it was
That
so
was definitely
good.
the
We
best
did
food
do
we
like a
ate.
tapas place that had like a lot of like Portuguese food. It was so good. But like some of their like I guess national dishes we couldn't get down with. They
We
were
weren't,
just
like,
so
huge on the
interesting.
food. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
Seafood was good.
seafood
No,
was
I bet
good.
the
Yeah.
seafood was amazing.
Yeah.
Did you
like
drink port? You have to
We
drink
did,
port.
yeah.
Florida, right?
We
You
did like
have
the
to.
port tour and all that.
We
Yeah.
went to like there's like this company called Sandman. I guess they have like all the port factories on the water like lined up there. And you can actually see like our hotel was like across the water and you could see like the factories and a lot of them had signs that were like so big you could see them from across the
wow.
water. Yeah.
was cool.
So it
Sandman
was
is
really
good.
cool.
Yeah.
Did you have the
You
40
tried
year?
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we tried I think most of
yeah,
them.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
We tried a lot of them though. They
Yeah.
gave us like a sampler of like 5 at the end.
So
Yeah.
good. My uncle got
Yeah.
us a bottle for Christmas a couple years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good.
Funny story actually, when we left the tour, I mean this is probably part of the decision because we had just had like 5 glasses of port, but we both were like, oh, this would be a great thing to bring home for my parents, like a little gift for my parents. So I grabbed the bottle and just packed it in my bag. I had it with me the whole trip. And when we went to Madrid, the guy pulls my bag across. I was like, oh, it's probably like my nail clippers or something. He pulls it over the table at TSA, and he just pulls out the bottle. He didn't say anything. And I was like, I don't know how neither of us even thought of
They're
this.
just doing carry-ons because we were there, so they confiscated it.
Oh,
But we
God.
lucked out. They had it in the airport. So I got an airport bottle of
God.
Sandman.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that you still got it, but that sucks. Oh my God,
Yeah.
that sucks. I would be crying. Like,
Yeah,
honestly.
we were like, should we pay $50 right now to check this bag? Like, is this worth it?
oh man, I remember I was bringing wine home from Arizona. Thank God I checked my bag, but I was like wrapping it so aggressively. I was like
gosh,
wrapped
yeah.
in every layer of clothing that I still had left in my bag because I didn't want it to
Yeah.
break. Because it was from, I don't know if you're into the band Tool, but the lead singer has a winery out there.
Oh,
And so like
really?
you can't get that wine around here, and they only ship it during certain months because they don't want to risk the weather temperatures like messing with the wine. So I was like, well, I have to bring this home. And I have to make sure it doesn't break and like spill in my bag.
Oh my gosh.
It didn't, thankfully. But I remember I was just the whole trip. I was like watching them load my bag. I was like, please don't throw it. Please don't throw it. I was so stressed about the wine.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. So what is like one piece of advice, we like to ask this to all of our guests, that you would give to any entrepreneurs out there, or I guess anyone that's looking to maybe start like a UGC page? Like, do you have any tips or anything that like you kind of would go back and tell yourself?
I think the biggest piece of advice, and this is probably like, it's going to sound so silly, is just do it. Just start posting. See, I mean, the name that I have now is not what I started with. So see what you want to do. Do you want it to be Jersey? Do you want it to be travel? Do you want it to be food based? And know that you can always change. It doesn't have to be what you started off as. You can morph and evolve, and that's okay. And again, my page name wasn't what it is now. My page didn't start as what it is now. So just start posting, even if it's just like you have some food pictures you like, or you want to share about like your hometown, or you see some pretty flowers and you're like, hey, happy spring, like whatever you want to do, just go for it, because thinking about it isn't getting you anywhere. So
Yeah.
I say just make the move, and be okay with the ebb and flow of it. Know that some days your posts are going to do well. Some days they're not going to do as well. Maybe you're going to have like a boom for a while where things are going great, and then there's going to be a lull, and it's not going to feel great, and it's not going to feel happy when those things happen, but it's part of it. It's part of the journey. And just knowing that if you know that you're putting out what you feel is great, that it's okay. And again, it's going to ebb and flow just like the rest of life. So you have to just make sure you're okay with it.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like that really is like the biggest hurdle to get over, is just starting, like literally just start posting. And I feel like a lot of people want it to be perfect, or they want it to look a certain way, but like that's not always realistic. Sometimes you just have to like put yourself out there and go from there.
I think my first post was from my honeymoon in Hawaii. And when I scrolled back a while ago and looked at it, and I was like, this is not a good picture. Like, it was, you know, on my phone. It was like an older iPhone, I'm sure. It was not edited that well. I mean, I could have definitely done a better job, but that was my very first post. And I'll never delete it, because even if I like clear out some old pictures that I don't like anymore that just like aren't in line, I don't think I'll ever delete that first post, because it shows where I came from, and it's meaningful to me. But yeah, like that post versus where I am now with like the light and the reels and like the different things. I didn't show my face for years because I worked in education, and I was so worried that like a parent or a student was going to find my page and be like, I saw Miss Adana, you know, drinking a beer at the beach. And I was like so nervous. In education, a lot of times they sometimes make you sign like a form about like appropriate social media use, and that like you're a representative of the school district and you can't post certain things. So it was very stressful. And then I really think that once COVID happened, I stopped caring as much. And I was like, what's the worst that can happen? I've lived through a pandemic. Now I'm just going to post myself. It's fine. So I don't know. I think like the fear stripped away a lot. And then I just started posting myself more. And I think that also helped the page grow, because people like to see who's behind the camera. They do. It creates more of a personal exchange. People like to see who you are and what you're about and your personality. I think that would be my other piece of advice. Let your personality come through. If you think that you're a little weird, be weird, because the right people will like your type of weird, and the wrong people, you don't want them there anyway, because you want people that appreciate who you are as a whole.
That's so great. And where can people find you? So website, Instagram, any other social media pages that you have?
Yes, I am all over the place as Jersey Girl Travels, on Instagram, on Threads, on TikTok. I'm not on Twitter, X, whatever it's called now. It's just not my thing. And then I have the jerseygirltravels.com as my website. But I'm mostly active, I would say, for the most part, on Instagram. DM me if you ever have any questions. If anybody wants to know like places to go, things to do, I respond as quickly as I can. And I love talking to people. It's the social part of social media.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. We were very excited for this one.
No, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad I got to meet you and I got to do this.
Yeah, we're very excited to share like your story and have everyone hear it.
Cool. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.